Thank you very much all for coming. Today we are expecting more people, but it is the end of the forum, so I can imagine that some people already left. Today our aim and our aim of this meeting would be to have informal workshops with the governing board members, especially national coordinators and TSGs, due to the fact that all three projects, governance projects in EUSAIR, started with their implementation. There is a lot of expectation, and we need to use every opportunity that we have to do some concrete and tangible steps toward plans and toward everything that we put in our application forms. As you know, Project 3 is a specific project which should enable strategy to show some tangible, concrete results and the projects or the implementation formats, how we call that. And we know that a lot of things have already been done in the past programming period, and a lot of things should be done in the next programming period. That's why we make a plan together with other two projects, but also our internal plan how to approach this. This plan was communicated a little bit with the TSGs and the NCs, but today we would like to present more detailed plan to show you where we are going and what are the next steps. Some crucial questions has been raised on the last governing board from the TSGs, because we have a lot of things, as I already told you, that has been done regarding development of strategic implementation formats, but we need to now agree among ourselves what to do with things that has been done and what we can do together, some new things. I will not take of your time today. I will give floor to my colleagues who are working every day on this project. They will present you the current status of the project. Then they will present you the current status of all TSGs, their, let's say, projects that are prepared. Maybe some of them are implemented. And during these workshops, I motivate you and I urge to you that you ask the questions, that we have lively discussion and exchange in order to better understand what is, let's say, starting point for this project in order to be able to reach all the goals and to come to the desired, let's say, place where we have jointly developed a lot of common project or implementation formats. So without further ado, thank you very much all for coming, and I give the floor to my colleague Lovre. Before I do that, I will also present to you the agenda. So after the introductory words, it will be interactive discussion with the TSGs, but also there are a lot of national coordinators here, so we are expecting discussion and exchange also with them, and afterwards we will have a wrap-up and conclusions. We have a lot of experts here. They will also be presented. Laura will tell you everything, and I hope that we will have a fruitful discussion today. Thank you very much, and Laura, please take the floor.
Thank you, Mislav. I appreciate. Yes, indeed, I agree to you as well on behalf of our project team. And basically, Mislav introduced you with the structure, how we have foreseen to make it. First part, I would say, the most tedious one is the presentation that I'm going to be having in a few moments. And afterwards, we have foreseen to have two sessions by that in the second session, interactive feedback coming from the pillar coordinator, TSG members, and afterwards our experts, which their presence in a way is a turning point for our project, because for a while we have been announcing the experts that we're going to have, and mind you, we have had done public procurement, which luckily was done, and they are here with us today, and you're going to meet them in person, which is definitely added value for the project. So without further ado, I would kindly ask technicians to give their presentation. So the following presentation is in a way, in a nutshell, disclosed activities and action that we have been doing for a while and how we have foreseen it to put in place with, at this moment, putting, I would say, focus on pillar needs and your project pipelines that we have been hearing about earlier this day and yesterday, and it's definitely added value that we found being present and discussing with you. So the workshop and the project itself, as you have been already acquainted, most of you, and our experts as well, because they have been reading for the last 2 weeks, the documents and everything that goes along. So our objective is facilitation and enhancement of strategic project development to support the cooperation and governance and the EUSAIR implementation. It's easier said than done. Everybody knows it. We know how it has been happening in the last perspective, and hoping we're going to make together concrete improvement in that regard. The project itself has its own implementation strategy. We started from the function, how to do it, and of course it goes with the development and implementation strategic formats, which goes with the support. Therefore, we are having today's workshop. How? Well, development a coherent organizational methodological framework for its selection is something in which our experts are going to be helping us greatly. And final results, develop project proposal for each selected implementation formats. So as we mentioned, you have them handful, and afterward we're going to scrutinize them even more. And of course, having in mind the capitalization for the post-2027 period, because the story doesn't end with this perspective, because we take it over from the previous one, doing it for the time being, and going to be continuing the following perspective. In this very slide, we break down our project. We done it quite vividly, and I won't gonna bother you with work packages, because I have heard from some colleagues from the pillars, you are always discussing about work packages and activities. We have heard so many about it. Come on, be a bit more tangible, and therefore we would like to jump on the tangible parts that are going along and in the coming time. So our main goals and objectives regarding our workshop is a platform to facilitate communication interaction. Having a relevant actor here is definitely something that we were looking for, and the purpose is strength cooperation, exchange ideas, which is something that is, I would say, written in stone when it comes to the strategy. But I underlined the gather value feedback from pillar coordinators and TSGs to enhance the project development process. We already done it by attending your sessions yesterday and today, and definitely in a way gave us a bigger picture that we're going to take on board. And that goes along with the main goals. So as you're going to be seeing it in the following slide, we have been examining the implementation status of flagships as well as individual projects per se per each pillar, and in order to help ourselves to facilitate and implement the activity, one report on existing flagship and develop implementation format. So in order to know where are we going, we need to establish a baseline, and therefore we decided to as well put emphasis on identifying the main challenges, because we have been speaking with you and you have been facing dozens of challenges that have been lasting for a while. New ones are coming, and in order to bypass it, we are supposed to make identification of existing implementation formats and policy models for times to come. These are the key objectives. facilitate dialogue, review progress, seek feedback, strategy for the upcoming period. And I would say that's something that goes in circle. It is in one direction, collaboration is going to be happening continuously through next 4 years, and therefore we are privileged and for having opportunity to work on this very task. State of play and activities in the upcoming period. Basically, we displayed 2 activities that we are working on, and within activity 1.1, report on existing flagship and develop implementation formats is something that we are doing for the time being. And the part that we have been preparing along with our experts is analysis of the current state of play. The goal of activity itself is identifying the main challenges, as it has been previously said. I won't go on repeating myself, but our goal is to have the report from today's workshop in order to have concrete recommendations and conclusions, which are going to be used for the following activities that are on the right. So the capacity building workshops, together we are all as a one, but when it comes to capacity building workshop, they're going to be individual workshops for each and every pillar, and backed as a win in the bag by our expert, who in the meantime going to be definitely into the topic and in detail acquainted about the goals that you put within your pillars. In next slides, we're going to give you the overview of the current state of play. It definitely resonates with the sessions that you have had as a pillar during the last 2 days. I'm going to go in details because you are more than familiar, and I would say you have been living these project proposals and their development. So here are the TSG1, Blue Growth, Blue Sustainable Economy. Interestingly, they were the last session that we have been hearing today, and a part of, I would say, this current strategic project developed. There have plenty of more to come. So in that regard, we need to collaborate more intensively. Of course, a part of those, they have 3 cross-pillar projects developed. So there is developed projects which are to be further fertilized and in a way be concrete with tangible results. That brings us to the TSG2, Connecting the Region and Transport. They were as well today. And a part of what you can see in this slide, they have been, I would say, going even broader and hearing so many ideas and proposals. We taking heaven for having our experts on board. So they timely arrived, and they are well aware of expectations that are there. Here are the TSG Connecting the Region, but in this case, we have energy networks. So as you can see, and that's the reason why we don't entitle development of the project proposal, we entitle them as implementation formats, because each and every TSG has its own differences in terms of their implementation. So you can see there is a master plan developed, action plan developed, cross-pillar project developed, so there is content to be upgraded and to be practicalized, and on that we're going to be heavily work within our project. That brings us to TSG3. They have 4 strategic project flagship developed. As you can see, that there is a variety of topics they are covering. And in their regard, I would say they have 1 strategic project implementation that we have heard yesterday more in details, and 2 cross-pillar projects developed. Interestingly, and I would say that is something that we need to agree on how to carry on, because a part of the one that has been developed, there are new additional strategic project proposals developed in the meantime, compared to the one that were developed earlier. In the meantime, some TSGs developed even others. As you can see, there are, in regard of TSG3, additional strategic project proposal developed, and in that sense, we as a project, as a team, going to be helpful in that regard, how to carry on. Let's bring us to the last TSGs with the project, that is one dealing with sustainable tourism. Overall, they have 7 strategic projects developed. I'm going to go in details which one are they, but according to the topics and theme they are tackling, it's quite a wide variety of activities and projects that we like put in practice. The reason, and it is logical, why do we not have TSG5? It's basically due to the fact they are newcomers, but as well, since we've been present on all pillar session, they were yesterday discussing their project pipeline and how to carry on in the upcoming time. So that brought us to the conclusion and practical information. So a follow-up report containing main conclusion and recommendation for this workshop will be prepared. I would say that is the main deliverable, because a part of we're going to be discussing many topics and information today. It's hard to grasp them on site. Therefore, we're going to prepare a document along with our experts who are going to be sent it to pillar coordinator, TSG member, in order to see is there any room for improvement or to amendment. And afterwards, we're going to prepare it as an official document that's going to be communicated afterwards with other relevant actors. More or less, I would say I wouldn't go in details in following 2 points because I mentioned them earlier. I would say new momentum that needed to be addressed is that further communication between our project and other stakeholders, because it's hard to have a streamlined communication when you are not sure who stands behind the project. Therefore, we organized and developed a unique email address. As you can see, it's quite innovative title when it comes to its address that we're going to be using. So we kindly ask you for the following communication, a part of our team that you have met earlier, all your inquiries or any kind of questions that you might have to send on this unique address from which we're going to be communicating towards you. So it's going to be vice versa. That brought me to the part where I thank you for your attention. We tried to be colorful with the background of presentation in order to grab your attention, so hopefully we made it. And as I said in intro, now, in my opinion, we come up with more intensive, more interesting part. And therefore, I kindly ask my colleagues, Zrinka Lalen, who will go and join me on the stage, and as well a peer representative to join us on the stage to discuss questions that have been prepared beforehand. And afterwards, as a conclusions, experts are going to join us when you finish your session. Thank you.
No? Ne radi na mikrofon.
Hello, can you hear me?
No, better. So can we just ask all the pillar coordinators here today to join
Please,
us?
can you join us
on the
here?
stage?
Yeah.
You can
Wherever you
choose.
want.
So we are missing TSG2. So should we start then? So we are missing TSG2, so I do hope that they will be able to join us later. And I would like to say hello to everyone here and thank our panelists for participating in this interactive discussion. And this interactive discussion about the framework for the implementation of our action plan. And it consists of 2 parts. And for this first part, we are going to discuss the pathway for the implementation format development based on preliminary flagship analysis that we just saw. We will start with a discussion on the viability of the current implementation format types in the light of the revision of the action plan and forthcoming development of organizational and methodological framework relevant for all pillars. Also, I would like to invite you to present yourself before answering the question. And first, I would like to address Pillar 1. Can you please tell us, is there a need for the development of other new types of implementation formats, or should we find ways to make better use of these existing formats that are already being used in the EUSAIR?
Hi, thank you for having me here. My name is Irene Manjouni. I come from Greece. I'm a pillar co-coordinator together with Milena, who is one of the most well-known members of EUSAIR. It's the first time I'm sitting next to TSG3, since we're missing TSG2, I mean. I will start to cut the long story short, because it has been a long story, and for us the results have been short, or little, or small, we could say. So, as it was already presented, 5 monopillar projects have already been developed, and 3 cross-pillar projects. Of them, only 2 have already been submitted and withdrawn, or withdrawn from the evaluators due to administrative issues. And one of the most worrying parts of all this process is that it was a quite long process, maybe more than 10 years long, and with very few results. So I'm not sure whether it is this template's fault. I think all the information that is required to be there, it is there. And if we want to build a good template, an effective one, I think we already have the possibility to do so, since we know the evaluation forms and what the evaluators are looking at. We have ePatreon, we have other programs that can embed or are already embedding EUSAIR objectives. So I don't know if it is a matter of the template or of the forms that need to be filled out, or it is mostly a matter of the procedure and the length of time it takes.
Okay, so thank you for the answer. And I would like to address my next question to the representative of Pillar 3. What do you recognize as main elements of the current development process that can be used as part of new coherent organizational and methodological framework that can be used by all TSGs for the development of implementation formats?
So thank you.
So it's sort of, you can just connect that to what Pillar 1 representative just started to say.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm Istok Škerlić, and I'm representing here the TSG3 pillar, since the 2 coordinators unfortunately cannot join the forum. And going back to the question, yeah, of course, if we look at so let's say you are lucky, you are not starting from the 0. We had an amount of work already done during the previous project. So, but in this regard, we were learning by doing, and also we established 2 guidelines, which you probably know, and there is available in the internet session. But going from technically speaking to practically, I think that the action plan, it's, let's say, the basic for the work, and there is a plan for the content which must be developed. Very important are also the flagships and projects and the master plan and action plan, which were already developed. Now I'm mentioning 3 types of activity, and this was quite a challenging issue during the previous project, since between TSG can really, the TSG in agreement with also the embedding process approved by governing board, the TSG used different methodologies to map their needs. So we know that we have flagships project, we have master plan and action plans. It depends on the content of the pillar which is covering, and also the amount of the strategies which are already behind the pillar work. For example, I can say that in the pillar 3, so the quality of environment, we were, let's say, lucky, since the environment it's very present also in the European strategies, so we had a lot of basic documents already agreed on the EU level. If we look at, for example, at TSG2 energy, we can imagine that there were a lot of energy strategies, very different between them, which was also evident during the recent crisis with the gas. And that's why they needed also the master plan to find the common denominator of the path for the future. And this, let's say, so if we go through on one hand, it's the basic, it's the action plan, going through these different types of document which were developed at the TSG level. Then we go to the implementing documents or project, and there are, let's say, the most important part in the process, because the embedding also together with the managing authority and JS, the project allow to discuss together the topics. So because the managing authority, they cannot understand, let's say, the action plan and these master plans and so on. They need something more concrete to be supported by and co-financed by the program itself. And this logic, I think, that can be followed. And this logic was followed also by the TSG3, and this is my answer to your question.
Well, thank you very much, and now I will refer to my colleague Alan to continue.
Thank you, Zrinka. Now we will continue with the next topic, which is the identification of most common challenges, good practices, and pragmatic solutions that could be converted into recommendations. As we all know, every development process has its own challenges, but also some difficulties. So my next question will also go to Pillar 1. Can you please outline the most common difficulties and bottlenecks which should be, in perspective, tackled and efficiently solved?
Well, Pillar 1 has one specificity that it is hopefully not common in other pillars. It is a jumbo pillar that is trying to bring together many landlocked countries with no maritime or aquaculture or fisheries interest, with the rest of the countries that are more dependent or more active in these sectors. However, I think I need to mention this specificity, even though it is only for our pillar that has this feature. And now, of course, I should also mention that in the new action plan that it is under revision, and hopefully it will be soon, its implementation phase will soon start, we have dedicated quite some time and effort in order to tackle this challenge. Other challenges, I think, involve that the process of project development maybe is not that clear to all interested parties. I mean, from my perspective, I became active in this pillar last year. The projects had just been developed at that time. For me, it was quite hard to catch up and see why the process is like this and why it's not differently set up. There is also the matter, I think, of maybe of competition across the institutes. I mean, it's not that straightforward to share one idea. If I am a research institute, I'm competing with all the others, no matter where they come from. So I cannot go out and say, you know, I have this idea, who wants to go for it? Because I'm afraid that some other competitor could jump in. Sometimes it is also challenging, at least in our pillar, to engage more of our TSG member countries. Or not because they are not willing, but maybe because we still, or not all of us, are quite familiar with the networking process of how you can address your ideas to other institutes and how you should communicate and what are the factors or what are the interested stakeholders across countries. Of course, a lot of time and effort has been dedicated to networking, but I think there is still much room left, and also with cooperation with Project 2, this can be somehow be solved. So I would say what we are expecting is sort of a recipe, but having in time that the process should be sped up. And also from our own pillar experience, what I could suggest, because we had this experience with our proposals being rejected due to other administrative issues, so that some nuisance that could have been tackled before is that we have, let's say, a sort of pre-screening maybe, a pre-submission. I mean, after the ideas have been developed, so that they are submitted to a shorter consortium, unofficial one, and there they are getting evaluated and improved somehow. So I think a pre-screening would have helped, at least in our case.
Okay, thank you for your answer. My next question goes to Pillar 3 again. So, based on your experience, can you please highlight the good TSG practices like workflows and processes that could be maybe upgraded and be used as a helpful toolkit for the future?
Yeah. So I think that one of the best practice where has been, let's say, our collaboration with Interreg Adrian, which at the end also presented the result that we have 2 projects supported by this program, which implements directly 2 of other flagships. So for the great carnivores on one side and on the accidents, contingency plan for the accidents on the sea. And this collaboration we tried also to establish with other programs at the national level, with the mainstream program or with also other Interreg. There were also good practice from Interreg Italy, Slovenia, for example. They directly finance Adrio Cycle Tour as a project, which implements also the TSG2 transport flagship. And I think that this is a good base to start and to show the way how we can manage from single supported project or generally supported project, starting from the what are the flagships and the implementation of this flagship in the strategic projects. On the other hand, I saw in the presentation before the mapping of the funds. This is also one good base for starting and thinking together with the managing authority. When we also in the past thought about this activity, it could be very complex since Italy and Greece has a huge amount comparing to other countries. The number of managing authorities, it's about, I think in Greece, about 30 or 40, and the same amount in Italy, or even more, because there is each region has the managing authority. In comparison with the smaller countries, this is more complex, but for the future, I will say that this can be one way how to establish on that good practice, or that we can name it as managing authority network or something like that. This can be a sort of discussion for the future. But if I answer directly for the question, there is, let's say, Interreg Adrian, Interreg Italy, Slovenia, and others that support it. We, even in TSG3, gain direct funds from the DG ECO funds, and this can be also one source of funding which must be mapped and matched with our topics of the flagship in order to develop what we want.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we are continuing with our second point of the session.
So thank you, everyone. So we are going to begin the next part of our discussion, where we will try to highlight the objectives of each pillar and its mission in connection to the revised action plan. And we will try to define what are your main expectations and needs in this process. And I will start with the pillar 5, there at the end, which is just starting its work. And what would be the main expectations from your perspective concerning the process of development of implementation formats?
Well, thank you for your question. As you know, the Pillar 5 is still not official one, because the revised action plan is not adopted yet. But we already had some discussions, more individual or very tentative, with our colleagues. So there are some ideas, especially regarding the flagship projects, and we'd like to see support. But first we have to define what are, to make probably a list of these proposals for flagship projects. These are already existing projects, maybe some project ideas, and to see how they can be financed. And then the second step would be, when TSG defined this list and it's approved, to ask for your support to see which are the best sources and how to, to define a proposal for funding, to ask funding. And it will take time, of course. So at this moment, we like to know there is a support waiting for us, but I expect maybe we will have this list of projects in a very near future, maybe at the beginning of the next year, in half a year, I hope so. And that's one side of a story. The other side of a story is how to see which are the best funding sources in general for projects within Pillar 5, and to establish a bridge from potential beneficiaries toward you. So in a way, we would like to see ourselves as some kind of middleman between beneficiaries and you. And I hope in that regard we can have a very good cooperation. Well, that will be it at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. And I would like to ask the same question to Pillar 4. So what are your main expectations, but also what would be your main needs in this process?
Hello, thank you for the question. My name is Iva Čaleta-Pleša, and I'm a Deputy Pillar Coordinator for Pillar 4, Sustainable Tourism, from Croatian Ministry of Tourism and Sport. And Pillar 4 has developed in the previous project period 7 flagships, as they were presented on the screen. And it was really lots of work and energy invested in it, lots of communication and meetings. Everything was agreed on the TSG level. So what we would like to see in the next period, to see those projects implemented. About the needs, we always like to ask our members what are their needs. On the work on the revision action plan, we took a look into those flagships and recognized for the new action plan and also put it in the actions. So we are sure and we believe that flagships that we identified could be also, are still very accurate for the future. And maybe our needs will be to rethink them, to take a maybe better look, maybe somebody from the outside. And expectations are, of course, to be implemented through different programs, through different funds. And as a colleague from TSG 5 said, since the new governance structures of the EUSAIR strategy is that we have 3 projects, and one of the projects is also tackling financial dialogue. So this will be our opportunity to talk with the financial institutions, and your project will help us to rethink the project proposals and to be ready and to be very relevant for the tourism in the future.
So thank you for the answer. And actually, at the presentation of the Pillar 1 today, actually we saw a number of possibilities to finance in projects in the field of innovation from different funds other than Interreg. So we were presented with possibilities from the Horizon and Maritime Fund. So there are other possibilities, and especially for tourism, which can then, as a cross-pillar theme, be connected with and financed from other pillars. And I would like to return to some of my questions and address Pillar 2 coordinators, which joined us on the stage. And we have heard about the main problems and bottlenecks from other pillars, and also about the implementation format. So I would like to ask you both, do you think, again, is there a need for the development of other new types of implementation formats, or should we find ways to make better use of these existing formats? Again, today at the transport pillar, we heard about the problems they have with their own projects because they are so specific. Projects in the transport sector are big. They have a long time framework for implementation. And so do you think, do we need to revise some of the typology, or should we just make better use of these existing formats? So maybe first representative of the transport subgroup, and then maybe subgroup energy.
Okay. Yes, thank you for, the questions. First, I would like to thank, the project leader, project number 3, for convening, this meeting, which is, in our view, extremely useful. We have some reservations, however, and I should express those reservations. First, we need to understand ourselves. I mean, what is the meaning of implementation formats? This is obscure. Are those terms of reference? It was never explained. So talking about something where the meaning is unknown becomes very difficult. There is no meaning. Second, I mean, something we need very much, which was not expressed, let's say, in a clear way, is a timeline. I mean, we need a timeline. We need to know what the pillars that ESG should do and when, by when, and what are the expectations. I mean, this is a request which is coming from our standing members. I mean, they are asking us, what about Project 3? What is the timing? In our view, and in the view of TSG2, and I can express this on behalf of the transport side and the energy side, I mean, we are saying project number 3, governance project number 3, is the backbone to EUSAIR. But we know when, resources will become available and how to prepare ourselves, I mean, in order to help, governance project number 3 in this respect. Of course, I mean, we assume that project number 3, as it was clearly said in the first view graphs we received, refers to strategic studies, strategic projects, which have a meaning in order to launch EUSAIR vis-à-vis other organizations and to create, a cooperation amongst our countries. Now, in the Pillar 2, we had some activity in the past, and we call that activity master plans. So we have a master plan on transport, master plan on energy. They have a time horizon such as the year 2030, 2040, 2050, different scenarios. And the master plan are telling the countries which are the options, which are the pros and the cons, what's happening if, scenarios, of course, are hypothetical, and they were selected by the countries. Now, the master plans were launched and were approved by the standing members. There is, and this is clear, there is no direct responsibility by the standing members, to the results of the master plans. This should be clear. The master plans are presenting views which are shared to some extent, but they are not approved. So all of this, should be made clear from the very beginning. In our view, the master plan should be repeated recurrently. In principle, we are saying for energy every 3 years. There are other international organizations which are acting like this. Of course, one can say other organizations are doing their own studies, but according to our view, no other organizations dealing with the participating countries into EUSAIR, notably with the Western Balkan countries, ever tried to do something with preparing, what's happening towards the year 2050? How should we act now in order to reach those goals? Now, the question, we have is how to repeat the exercise, which we assume it was successful. It brought countries together. It brought stakeholders together. And there is no idea regarding this. In addition to that, of course, we have in the action plan new strategic studies. I can talk for energy. I mean, there is a roadmap for renewables. I mean, with a timeline horizons which are the year 2030, 2050. There is a forum, permanent forum on energy efficiency. Again, how to do that? There is, I mean, something, of course, there will be hydrogen in our future. I don't know when. And again, I mean, we have the idea which should be brought into some conclusion, operating conclusions on a hydrogen valley. I mean, I can add that. Now, the point, and this is another critical point, of course, project number 3 will receive a number of applications. True, we assume the implementation formats. We don't know what they are. Anyway, I'm using the word. How are you making the selection? Are you sharing the money? I mean, 5 projects, 5 parts, I'll say, 10 projects, 10 parts, 20 projects, 20 parts. How do you set the priorities? Who's doing that? I mean, in our view, not all, I would say, the strategic studies have the same priority. How to do that? This is the question. Now, we have this workshop, which is very much welcome. So, in our view, we should have some practical conclusions. Those conclusions could be reached today, here. Those conclusions might be there within 10 days, 15 days, whatever you want. But we need to know what implementation formats are. The TSG should have the same procedures in order to approve implementation formats or terms of reference. And there are procedures which are, I mean, written down, I mean, by papers which were prepared by the previous EUSAIR facility point. Then, how to set the priorities amongst or between the different ideas. I mean, different ideas, in our view, I mean, should receive different considerations. I was not replying directly, I mean, to your question. But in our view, these are basic questions. If those questions don't receive, in the timeline, if those questions don't receive a reply, we don't know how to react.
Thank you. For the answer, you answered all of the previous questions, so that's good, actually. That's another minus. And also thank you for your suggestions, which are, that we are definitely going to consider them when we develop our unified methodology for all DSGs that they are going to use, and of course setting priorities and trying to decide which projects are the most important and should be given the most attention is also going to be a part of this methodology. And then, if I dare say, there are a number of examples, a number of project methodologies that can help us with this. So thank you for your question. And then now maybe a representative of the subgroup Energy, you also give us your input on all of these questions.
Thank you. First, a clarification. Mr. Gariba is a representative of Energy, and I am Mr. Coppola, representative of Transport subgroup of Pillar 2. So first of all, I'd like to join Mr. Gariba in thanking you for having organized this event, this meeting. I think this is an approach that is quite useful in order to converge fast toward the definition of a format that would allow us to develop the strategic project within each of our pillars. Now, before answering to the question, very straightforward, what are the needs and what are the requirements, the expectation of the formats that we as Pillar 2, Transport Subgroup, would like to propose. Let me go a step backward to clarify one specific aspect. It is clear to me that this project aims at identifying a format that is common to the 5 pillars, 6, considering that Pillar 2 consists of 2 subgroups. But for Pillar 2, for our subgroup, this is very difficult. Because when you think of a strategic project, and this is something that could be easily be understood also by a non-technician, by a non-expert, strategic project for transport and strategic project for energy relates to infrastructure, big infrastructure that requires amount of money not only for the implementation, but also for the design, for the feasibility studies. So we are discussing about projects that are on a completely different scale of implementation. On the one hand, transport and energy that require investment of billions of euro and millions just for the design, for the feasibility study. On the other hand, project of tourism, blue economy that may require also important investment, but may also be effective with less amount of money, okay? So having said that, this is crucial to understand that a common format for all the 5 pillars is almost impossible to reach. Now, having said that, and hoping that this could be agreeable by all of us, we are discussing about different stuff, okay? Now, let me make a second clarification before answering in a very straightforward and direct way to what are our expectations as Pillar 2. In the previous 7 years of EUSAIR, we have dealt with different exercises. EUSAIR labels, so we have identified in our subgroup about 51 projects that have received the label. Different scale also in this case, Interreg project, but also infrastructural projects, soft measures. Then flagships. Flagships were a selection of the EUSAIR labeled projects that were selected with a specific aim, the embedding. Okay? Our flagship are as it has been pointed out before, the Cycle Tour and the development of green and smart ports. This does not mean that cycling and ports are our priority in the region. There are much more important issues at stake that represent a priority for connectivity, for transport connectivity in the region. Road safety, railway interoperability, accessibility, and so on and so forth. We have selected those flagships for a specific aim, the embedding, trying to reconcile the outreach of the Interreg project, that is an outreach of a certain dimension, with our priorities. Okay? Second, the master plan. Third, the master plan that has been developed, same as our colleague from the energy group, that is a strategic document that helps to identify our strategic priorities, and that is the base, is a common vision in order to identify the strategic project at any level. And last but not least, the priority actions that have been included in the EUSAIR action plan. Okay? So there are these different levels of, let's say, priorities that we have identified with the different aims: embedding, action plan, EUSAIR label, the strategic vision. Among these, what we expect and what we would like to have as a support from this project in the further development of the EUSAIR is resources for upgrading the master plan. So our, how have you called it, implementation format is something that would allow us to upgrade the transport master plan as a tool after which all our strategic action of Pillar 2 Transport Subgroup may be derived. At different scale, big project, development of TEN-T network, soft measure, like plans for urban mobility, flagship for, so indication for embedding. And that's all.
Thank you. That's it, only. So thank you, and I would like to refer to Alan to continue.
Thank you, Zrinka. Now we are starting to this last point of the interactive session, and this is the identification of the main capacity building needs, both in general and regarding the expectations from external expertise. So I would like to hear by order from pillars 1, 2, both subgroup, and pillar 5, what are your main expectation needs from capacity building in that context? So please, pillar 1.
You mean our expectations in terms of what?
Capacity building regarding the project's implementation formats development.
Our expectations in general, but I think to this question maybe they are much more relevant, is to build upon and recognize what is the strength of EUSAIR. What would not have happened if EUSAIR was not there? So what does it contribute really to each and every country? And I think what is its contribution and what we should rely on is how do you bring all the macro-regional, all the AI, the Adriatic Ionian together on the same table. But after you bring them there, you should not only show them slides and nice presentation. I don't mean, when I say you, you know that I mean not you specifically, it's of us and us as pillar coordinators and everybody who is involved in the TSG, either on the specific level or on the broader level. So what I would expect would be to make each and every country more active, providing them tools and asking them for specific time frames and responsibilities so that they feel that they can be heard, because bringing together countries has two advantages, both for those that can produce ideas, that they have more ideas to rely on, and for those that may have some needs that they don't know or would prefer to address them in collaboration with others that are maybe more advanced or more experienced in some aspects, or that they want just to share their expertise or their knowledge. So this is what should we build upon, that we have countries with different needs and with different requirements, and give them the tools to bring them to the table, even if it means that we need to ask them for some input. But I think that if somebody is, you turn the light to him and you ask him for things, he feels more included, like compared to just watching at some content without being able to respond. And I think that now that we do have the tools with the new action plan and the new evaluation methods and indicators and all this weight that is being given to the project building, that we are giving the tools in order to respond more effectively. and to be heard as its country more effectively from the others, because we do have things to learn together. I think this is the reason to have something macro-regional. It means that as a region, we do have some needs that maybe are not there on a country-by-country level, all that by putting all our efforts together, we can produce something that each of us will not be able to do so. And yes, as the colleagues from Pillar 2 said before, we do have differences. And we should not try to impose to everybody that we are all the same, even on the level of the pillars. We are not the same, we should not be the same. Each of us has different needs, and we should allow for others to embrace it.
Okay, thank you. And the same question goes to Pillar 2, so energy.
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you. I'll say a few practical proposals. First proposal, we assume the implementation formats are terms of reference. Terms of reference in order to do some kind of a bidding process and to hire, the experts who will be doing, say, the study or the work which is foreseen. The second proposal, the implementation formats as terms of reference should be approved by the TSGs. So there should be an approval process. You may wish to define the approval process, but this is okay. The third point, which is very important, is the disclaimer. The concept of disclaimer is included in the table you can see here in the back of mine or in the front. When you say what are the main capacity building needs of TSGs during the process, implementation, for and so on. There are two disclaimers which are needed. The TSGs cannot approve formally the results of work which is done by external experts. So there should be some kind of disclaimer. Then there is another disclaimer, which is up to you, up to Project 3. So there will be no responsibility on your side on, say, a number of steps which are external, where you are not directly involved. So this type of disclaimer should be prepared. In the case of the master plans, transport and energy, we had the disclaimers. Disclaimers were clear, and representatives from the governments were happy about that because there was no, direct responsibility. How can I ask my colleague from Italy, Serbia, whatever, to approve, a master plan? This is absurd. So the disclaimer is very much needed. The practice of disclaimers is shared by a number of international organizations. I was with the International Energy Agency as a director, and we had a clear disclaimer for the so-called World Energy Outlook, which is done every year. So there is a disclaimer. Now, this is practical. Then we have two requests. You will be very happy since we have, as you said and others, we have the next round of TSG meetings, towards the end of this year. So we need to have, questions from you, which need a reply from the TSGs. So, the TSGs, we will have on our draft agendas your questions, and they will reply, and okay. The question could be of any type, but again, we need timing. So the timeline is very much needed. We should be able to tell our standing members what is the timeline. Finally, this is a proposal again. You can say in order to receive the implementation formats, there is a deadline, or maybe there are two deadlines. I mean, the year 25, the year 2026, because by the year 2027 will be over. So, I mean, there could be two deadlines. By having two deadlines, you will be receiving a number of proposals through terms of reference on the implementation formats. I prefer the word in terms of reference because the terms of reference, which should be approved by the TSGs, allow, I mean, a bidding process. Now, again, I mean, the bidding is up to you, so you have to tell us, I mean, how the bidding will be performed. Is this an open bidding through all the European countries? Is bidding through, I mean, the participating countries in the EUSAIR? We might prefer that. Or do you think you can follow a different practice? But you know, I'm saying the bidding is the practice which is followed by the European Commission, I mean, by the different organizations. So, I mean, there should be some thinking of that, how to do that. And again, I mean, who's making the judgment regarding the experts which are selected? Are you making the judgment? Are those who are presenting, say, the terms of reference or the implementation form involved? How are they involved? I mean, all these aspects need clarification. I mean, I think you have a lot of work to do, and I'm very displeased upon that. Anyway, I mean, we need this. Otherwise, you know, this is fine. I mean, we can talk forever, I mean, of what are the main expectations from the TSG's perspective. I mean, the expectations are already there. I mean, the TSG's discussed, you know, the strategic studies so many times, and we cannot rediscuss all of that. This is fine, but we need clarity on how, I say, this project will be managed, conducted, and concluded. I mean, your responsibility is immense. We share, I mean, your concerns, and I'm sharing definitely your concerns. We are ready to help you in this respect, but I mean, I think this is something practical, pragmatic we need today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for some of your practical recommendations. Yes, I agree, it's a shared responsibility. Maybe from the transport pillar too, some of your opinions that matter.
Yes, maybe I have anticipated the question about what is our expectation about overall the process.
Overall process, capacity buildings.
In this, as far as I understand, the project is structured in phases. Yes. We are in a first phase in which you are collecting a requirement for the further strategic development of the project. Now, since we have very clear in mind, and this has been also discussed very extensively within the TSG, within our thematic steering group, and there is a common agreement about the fact that our strategic project, what we would like to support is an upgrade of the master plan. In this very first phase, what actually could be helpful is that of having an expert or someone that would help us to develop the term of references with our input for further engage the right expert in the development of the master plan. This is something that happened also in the first phase of the EUSAIR. With the interaction of the previous facility point, we were able to set up sort of terms of reference that help the facility point, the Italian project partner, to engage the expert that then, in the second phase of the implementation, allowed us to develop the master plan. Okay, so in this first phase, the one that you have called development of the implementation format, in which actually, as far as I understand, is a collection of desire, a collection of information from each pillar in order to better understand then what kind of support they may need. As similar as Mr. Gariba has pointed out, the support that we may need is in the definition, in the preparation of the tender for engaging the expert. And then, in the second phase, also in terms of capacity building, maybe the expert that would be selected could also, as it happened in the previous EUSAIR phase, also help to interact with the thematic steering group and support thematic steering group member to interact with the national stakeholder in transport, in my case, in order to get all those kind of information that are useful for the development of the transport master plan.
Thank you very much. I think you pointed some good questions which will be partly also touched in the wrap-up session. So I would like to conclude with Pillar 5 and maybe give your concluding words regarding the capacity building.
Thank you, Alan. You just placed an item in our agenda for the first meeting of our TSG in the future, in the near future. What I can say about TSG, I think that TSG 5 is pretty diverse. There are people with different backgrounds. We have people experienced in policy making or policy implementation. We also have some people who are connected with some kind of funding or EU funds or something similar, tender drafting, project implementation. So there are pretty different backgrounds. I think if we would like to have your support and what kind of capacity building we need is to establish some common level of understanding about the projects, but not in a technical term, more like about their impact, to be able to assess the impact of projects that are in front of us as some kind of proposals that we can then endorse. We can recognize them and endorse within our pillar. For the first hand, that would be something that I'm personally interested. I hope my colleagues also from TSG5 will be interested. But of course, I expect that we will discuss this topic more broadly in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. And we are short of time, but just briefly, short 2 sentences from Pillar 4, if you can. The same question.
Go ahead.
So Pillar 4 should wrap up, or? But actually, I have a question for you. Capacity building workshop, how did you envisage those activity? And in the project application, if you have to describe this activity, what did you write? Or description was this workshop to get the inputs from pillars. But I'm interested in what you have in mind when you are thinking about capacity building workshops for TSGs.
Okay, now when we have our experts here, we will go into this in the following weeks and months, so we will definitely be in touch. Thank you. And we are done with the interactive session. Now I will ask Laura to continue with the wrap-up and conclusion.
Thank you, everyone.
We can leave the stage, yeah?
I'm going to sit and, of course, thank a lot to the speakers, because we have heard even more than we have expected when we were preparing the questions, and the questions were prepared in a way to have a floor for our experts that are here today with us. I would kindly ask them to join me on the stage in order to give their feedback and expertise outlook of what we have heard so far. So please make yourself comfortable. Yeah, basically, I would say it's my opinion on listening. We cannot reach as a definition that one size fits all. So, as you can hear, each pillar has its own specificities, even though there are some similarities. And therefore, we are having together with us experts, each expert for a single pillar. So basically, they're going to be, in short, up to the 5 minutes, give their feedback, taking into account what you have read beforehand, the documents that we shared with you, what you have seen today, the expectations, needs, and of course, with the disclaimer, this is just first outlook from their perspective, because this is going to be definitely business and as usual, but a collaboration that's going to be lasting for the next 4 years. And as we have heard, everybody has quite big expectation. So without further ado, I would kindly ask the experts from, I know, interestingly how you have seen, because on my right, here is a team leader of the experts. So even though I would give a word first to the lady, and afterwards, as you wish, to say what are your expertise, for which pillar are you going to be covering, and your short feedback on what we have heard. Thank you. Please.
So, hello everyone. My name is Maja Čurković, and I'm here as the key expert for social cohesion. So it's special since since I'm the key expert under the 5th pillar, which is unofficial one. So the name of the pillar is improved social cohesion, and even though it is an unofficial pillar, I'm extremely glad and proud that through this revised action plan, this pillar has been identified, recognized, and implemented as the important one, obviously. So through this pillar, we have a lot of work to do, since we're actually going to start from zero. But when it comes to social cohesion as a term, it consists of a lot of societal challenges, and unfortunately we will not be able to tackle all these challenges. So there are some main topics that have been recognized in this pillar, and those are youth empowerment and employment. Then we have promotion of skills acquisition for future labor market. Then we have decent work and gender equality. And finally, there is social innovations. So these are main topics that we will be working on in the next few years. And I wanted to conclude my speech with a certain call for action. So let me just, excuse me while I check my notes. So to start with the first topic, I would want to ask you to engage and empower youth, meaning that we must intensify our efforts not to only create opportunities for the next generations, but to place them in roles where they are actually decision makers and where they can influence policies. Then we have to innovate in education and training, because we have to adapt our educational frameworks to be forward-looking, ensuring that they are flexible enough to adapt to the skills that have not only emerged just today, but to the skills of the future, especially digital skills and green skills. Then I would like to call you to enforce and expand gender equality measures. For me, personally, it is imperative that we not only create policies, but also policies that promote gender equality, but also rigorously enforce these policies through concrete actions that will create tangible change. And lastly, I would like to call for promote and scale social innovations in order to continue to support and scale innovative solutions that address a lot of social disparities, inequalities, and foster stronger community ties. So, to conclude, let's keep this momentum going and turn these discussions and plans into tangible actions. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm hearing a round of applause, yeah, to encourage, yeah, we appreciate it. So, as we agreed, whoever is ready to cover his pillars. So from
yes, I can be next. Okay. Thank you very much to my colleague. Thank you, Lore. Hello, everyone. My name is Toni Livak. I'm a key expert for Pillar 1, Blue Growth. Where to start? Blue growth, or to say blue economy, is a very broad subject. But from what we've seen today on session and from the documents that we read, it has huge innovations potential and big funding opportunities. But also having read also the documents and participating in the session today, I've noticed some discrepancy, so to say, in the theme of the projects. When reviewing the documents, I saw that most of the projects were focused on the fisheries and aquaculture theme, and during the session today, and maybe in general, there were more emphasis on maritime governance. So I think that would be maybe interesting for me to see in which direction we go from the projects that we currently have, and maybe which projects to move on. I've seen that some of the projects have been submitted to some of the calls. Unfortunately, they've been rejected, but I think hopefully we can turn the luck around and maybe gain some more luck next time. But as I said, most of the projects, from what I've seen, 4 out of 5 projects are related to fisheries, and 1 project in aquaculture, in some sort of monitoring of aquaculture. So some kind of vision of going forward would be to see where we stand today and maybe what are the plans for the next period that's in front of us, and maybe and also, of course, with you and all the stakeholders through workshops and consultations, determine the next steps for our blue growth pillar that's really broad but interesting and full of innovations potential. Thank you very much.
First, I want to greet everyone here in attendance. My name is Misha Jurcevic. Currently, I'm employed at the Faculty of Electrical Engineering, Mechanical Engineering, and Naval Architecture, University of Split. Regarding my formal education, I have 2 master's degrees. One is in mechanical engineering, another is in industrial engineering, and also I'm Doctor of Science in the field of technical sciences. I have worked on plenty of projects regarding energy sector and regarding which is the topic of the Pillar 2 subgroup energy networks. And going through this documentation, the flagships crossed my mind, and the first flagship is related to power networks and market for a green Adriatic Ionian region. And I have 3 issues here. The first issue is environmental aspect. The second issue is diversity of energy sources. And the third issue is safety of energy distribution system. Speaking about environmental aspect, so here we have environmental aspect is covered generally. However, if we speak about green or renewable energy sources, the question is how green are we really? For example, wind farms. If you take into account building wind farms, how green are they really? For example, on a yearly basis, around 234,000 birds die in collision with wind farms just in the United States. There is also impact on human health. For example, they can induce photosensitive epilepsy. So there are different aspects to what we call green energy. The key issue, where are we going to build those power sources? So we have to take into account environmental aspect in more detail for every so-called renewable energy source. Something that is green and renewable on one location can be hazardous on another location. So we have to take that into account. The second point is regarding diversity of energy sources. Obviously, we have to diversify our energy sources. But the issue is, how are we going to diversify our energy sources? Will we build monolithic, large-scale systems, or are we going to build modular systems? And the third point is safety of energy distribution system. So here, if I may quote, it says the goal is at expanding and interconnecting national power systems. We can interconnect, that's fine. As I said, we can make modular systems that can be interconnected, or we can create one single monolithic interconnected system. And taking into account geopolitical currents and global conflicts and everything, I believe we have to have modular interconnected systems that are resistant. So everything is fine when we have peace and we have stability. But the real test for power network systems is when we have a situation that's not stable. Maybe we have war or economic instability, and we are witnessing that right now. So we have to take that into account. The other two flagships are related to natural gas. So maybe one final point is maybe we put too much on the first flagship. First flagship is integrating the rest of the energy sector, and the other two are related to natural gas. So the first flagship is a bit crowded, if I might say like that. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Luka Vukic. I'm Associate Professor of Faculty of Maritime Studies in Split, Croatia. I have been engaged in several projects, EU-funded, competitive, or scientific, national governed, or transnational, as you wish. I was also a delegate on the International Maritime Organization, Maritime Environmental Protection Committee several times, so I'm really up to the topic subgroup. Second pillar of transport, mobility, and connection. So in the days that I had time to see the documents, to analyze the documentation, there was only one flagship indicated, and it relates to interconnection, connectivity, mobility, cohesion, level of integration, and all the various aspects of infrastructural shortcomings and bottlenecks which are preventing functional integration of the whole platform of the whole area. So my intention is to indicate or to point out the current state, to make the analysis of the current state, to indicate these shortcomings, how they can be overcome in order to perform the functional integration of the whole area. The colleague from the previous discussion indicated that in this subcategory we are talking about the robust infrastructure, which costs a high amount of funds. So also my intention is to prioritize the projects because they need to have some priority regarding the importance in terms of scale. So the level of connectivity, the level of accessibility and interoperability among various traffic modes is one of the crucial part of this subcategory. We are talking about the ports and their hinterland and foreland connections, the intermodal connections primarily focused to the railway connection, railway transport. We have to bear in mind that digitalization and sustainable development, greening of the whole supply chain management is also one of the cases that we need to bear in mind. And urban transport, the last mile, these are very interesting topics, and I will do my best to perform the work. Thank you.
Hello to everyone. My name is Tomislav Radman. I'm working for Correlate consulting company. I'm speaking here as an expert in sustainable tourism. Fourth pillar of the strategy with its strategic projects, work plans, activities, expected results and outcomes, and flagship projects, covers all and reflects the core substance of this pillar. And as we are all witnessing the extremely high growth of tourism all over the world, particularly in the Mediterranean and Adriatic Ionian region, the main issues are related not how to attract tourists and visitors, but how to use destination resources and potentials in the best way, means responsible, sustainable, long-term, with lowering risks and optimizing the benefits, not always related with the financial turnover. In that sense, the strategy is very important for this, for next period, and it has to be focused, the projects has to be focused on management, governance, finding solutions for solving problems of seasonality, of sun and sea, offering and we have to use and introduce in this pillar also new artificial intelligence and data science, of course. So, furthermore, we have to think also about cohabitance between local citizens and tourists, not only in the sense of sustainable tourism, but also regarding creating best touristic offer, products and services. As we are all aware that touristic destinations in the Adriatic Ionian region are not resources, touristic resources, but living places, towns with special offer for its visitors. At the end, this approach to sustainable tourism, which strategy and the action plan is offering, is crucial for next period that is in front of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It's appreciated, and bring us to the last expert, team leader, Marko.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to greet everyone, all the country representative, thematic TSG coordinators and members, as well as pillar coordinators. I'm CEO of Correlate Consultancy. We are dealing with both public policy projects and infrastructure development, and we've so far implemented a dozen of projects both within the European Territorial Cooperation, European Commission programs, and the multi-annual framework programs. My background is in civil engineering, and I have a master's in water management and environmental engineering. Therefore, I will be substituting today our thematic expert as well, who is dealing with environmental quality. So first of all, I've made some remarks going through the literature we've received from the ministry and following the discussions you had during the day and on today's session. And I'd like to point out that even though we have experts on pillar topics, since these pillars are rather broad and have even slight interactions, and we'll have projects that will have spillovers over multiple pillars, we will be able to involve additional thematic experts according to the projects that will be under development within this strategic project. As it was pointed out earlier, the project is split out into several phases, and in this first phase we believe it's important to capitalize on the past efforts where a participatory approach was employed as one of the main qualitative methods. However, going through the projects we've received, we've identified that they're not coherent. They're different in scope, duration. Some of them are short-term projects, some of them are long-term projects. They differentiate in value, even in maturity and strategic importance. So we believe that in this short-term period, it will be important, as I think the energy coordinator stated as well, to create a set of criteria to prioritize these projects. This will be a challenge both on the strategy level and within each pillar, because there are different types of projects. So we believe that in this upcoming ideation phase, we will be able to complement the existing participatory approach with some design thinking principles that can later on be used to develop a toolkit or a cookbook, as mentioned by the Pillar 1 coordinator. And I think that in this way we can create shared ownership and ensure effective implementations of strategic projects to be developed in the macro region. And as the action plan says, to turn words into actions. Regarding environmental quality, just a short remark, but our thematic experts will be onboarded as soon as possible, but he was unable to join us today due to some health issues. So all the projects drafted so far share a focus on macro regions' livelihood and resilience of the water, energy and food nexus. However, we see some imbalance, more leaning towards biodiversity. However, some of the also important and essential environmental protection topics were not yet addressed. So I hope in this upcoming consultation process we will be able to see if these are the projects we're moving on, or whether we will be developing new ones, of course, in collaboration with you. So I think that's pretty much sums it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Marko. Much appreciated. Indeed, it was definitely after earlier session to get this perspective from the point of view of expertise, and since they have been familiar themselves for a week, even less, so give them a bit more time, but according to what we have faced so far and the question they are raising and proposal they are giving, we are definitely full of optimism to carry on together. I wanted to encourage questions from the audience, even though I had a signal from my colleagues, so please, any questions from the audience would be more than welcome. So, yeah, please.
Yes, hello, can you hear me? Thank you. And we would like to welcome our experts on board. I have a question more related to procedure. I understood everything they explained on the thematic fields and on the content of each pillar and how they will, what fields they will deal with. What I do not understand is how they will, let's say, marry with the project ideas. Are you, as a lead partner, going to publish procurements according to each TSG wish? And then when you have the project proposals, our experts are going to evaluate them? Is this the process? I do not very well catch the procedure.
Yep.
Or is it just a consultation phase where they will propose to TSGs some ideas that can be further elaborated, but then who will come and evaluate these proposals that will be submitted? So please clarify.
Yeah, thank you for your question. It's appreciated as well. And since basically the role of our project is the helping pillar coordinator in their needs when it comes to the, well, we call them implementation formats, and we heard today that implementation format might mean different terms. So as we said, basically the pillar are going to have a tailor-made approach, and therefore we are having the pillars that each basically expert is covering the pillar. When it's come to the development of the project proposal ideas or whatever our needs, and we have seen in my presentation that I was giving, basically there is a need, there is a clear, and we have heard from several pillar representatives, they would like to carry on with already is there, they would like to in a way come up with some news, even though there are some TSGs like TSG3 that proposing the new perspectives and ideas. In that regard, we're going to make this very report and analyze by pillar, each one by one, in order to get a grasp, to get the feedback from our expert, and to come up to recommendation toward each pillar in order to see what are their needs and how they would like to carry on and to fulfill their goals.
Okay, I will discuss it with our facility point partners and with Eva, our lead partner, because still I'm missing some parts. And
yep.
Since we as, I mean, at national level, we need to appoint some experts, and this is in our project description. We need to be sure that we don't have overlapping, I don't know, activities or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just that's why I'm asking, and I needed this clarification.
Yeah, the question is definitely legitimate, and we as well, in a way, anticipated, because the experts that are going to be supporting are going to be solely supporting the pillars in terms of the implementation format, but they're going to be collaborating with your thematic experts regarding your THD that you're going to get at some point as well. So basically, there is here going to be the continuity of collaboration in which we're going to basically from this point onwards have the experts that are going to be supporting us through the project tree. So I think that I saw another hand in the air, so please.
Okay, thank you. So I think that a clarification is needed also to me then. Very, very clear. I'll try to be as clear as possible. The colleague here would be the expert that would support us in the implementation of the strategic project, or they are just have been selected to support us in the preparation of the format.
Well, basically,
because if it is the first one, I have some problem there.
No, basically we need to define the format and methodology, as it was said previously in our presentation. So the methodology and format is essential. So there's the part in which going to be they defining the format in which we're gonna, through your needs, as it is, therefore we are having different pillars, we're gonna be according to what are your expectations and what, I would say, project pipelines that you are having and we mentioned in your presentation and have seen them last 2 days when you were in a way showcasing your presentation. That would be, I would say, further engagement that we're going to be giving you in afterwards as a support.
So also to give an answer to Matilda's question, what we are expecting is a second public procurement based on what are our indication as pillar coordinator to the panel of experts that you have engaged in phase 1, right?
Okay.
And based on our indication, we are gonna get the thematic expert that would fulfill our needs. So in terms of overlapping, we are now in a phase in which you can select or you can define the term of reference for your national expert that, and be sure that those terms of expert would not overlap, would not be overlapping with the term of reference that the expert of this project will be engaged. Does it make sense?
Yeah, if I may, you made a remark, but these are here are colleagues, and they are now the colleagues from the Project One, because basically we are doing it in collaboration with Project One. So I know, Eva, would you like to refer as well? Because in that regard, we have been as well have had several discussions in order to.
Yes, but you know, our thematic experts are supporting the pillar in all other aspects except, except, of course, yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, both. Yep. We have experts, we have thematic experts that support the pillar in Facility Point Project 1. Okay, sorry. Yes, and for the strategic project development, they hire the experts that will help you in further implementing the strategic formats. That's how I understand.
So you are not going to make an additional public procurement for engaging the experts. So we as pillar coordinator are going to interact for the rest of the project, for the coming 3 years, with the panel of experts that you have selected.
Indeed, and that's the way how we prepared our terms of reference, because the expertise that basically, according to public procurement, that we get from these experts that are here with us, a part of defining the framework that we were mentioning. They are as well equipped in development on
okay,
project.
And what if in this panel of experts we cannot find the expertise that we, pillar coordinator, need for develop our strategic project?
Yep, and that was one of the topics that we're discussing internally, because therefore, I don't know, Marco,
yes.
have it mentioned it, if you can
sure.
join in when it comes to the diversity of the topics and the way how we're gonna, in a way, bypass it and find a way. So, Marco.
Yeah, I mean, as I said in my opening, these pillars are rather broad, so it was basically impossible to employ 7 experts to cover all the topics covered in these pillars. So we are open to employing additional experts whose expertise is tailored to the needs of each project. So maybe we can continue the consultations with each TSG, check the needs of each TSG, because as we've seen, the 5th one is on the very beginning, and you have obviously more mature projects, so your needs are not coherent. So I think that there cannot be one unified approach on all pillars, so we have to maybe move forward to TSG meetings in the upcoming weeks and months, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because even though you have met the experts, the persons that are here, they do have the teams that are quite broader, and in terms that in the long run, there are going to be needs for more thematic-wise, as you were mentioning. So in that sense, we foreseen to have the experts to cover your needs, because of course, at some later phase, they're going to be much more experienced and equipped. And according to the potential they're having as the experts, gonna feed you up with your needs. And along the road, we're going to customize approach according to the pillar need, because, as we said, the one side doesn't fit all, and that's definitely one of the challenges that goes with the project tree. Is there any? Yeah, Misla would like as well to add, so Misla, please.
Thank you very much, Lovre. Just maybe to a little bit explain what is happening now, and in order not to get confusion to you. So, as you know, the projects are starting. All three projects are in very intensive communication. So Eva, Lovre, Natalino, and the colleagues from Arche region and Project 2 really communicate a lot, and you know that we also have some coordination mechanism, and I don't think that the overlapping and the problems like that will be in the implementation. And we will do our best, or they will do their best not to do that. Regarding the experts and regarding this, let's say, project 3, when we discuss internally what is our vision and what we would like to do, we would like exactly do what Mr. Gariba said. First, identified the situation. So what do we have? Because from the national coordinator's perspective, truth to be told, we do not know how much projects we have, what are the projects. We heard today that they are applying on some calls, but we don't have such an information. And you also, Pierluigi, on the last governing board raised very interesting question when you said whether we are continuing with this project or whether we are developing the new project. So these are all relevant questions that we need to now answer to ourselves, develop some methodology, some framework, whatever we call, timeline, and afterwards we go pillar by pillar with the experts who will be particularly for that topic, projects, implementation formats, whatever we call them, to help you to develop. So it will be a modular approach, in several phases. This is the phase 1 or phase 0, in which we just need now to identify the needs, the opportunities, gaps, projects, flagships, etc. And our aim was to, until the governing board, maybe in Greece in October, I hope it will be then, to prepare a report, very comprehensive report, which will of course be shared with the TSGs. You will be also consulting a lot about this in order to prepare the report to see where are we standing. And of course, together with the help of the experts, try to define the methodology, specifically for each TSG if possible, or common methodology, which is, I don't know, maybe also possible. This is something that the experts and you as a TSG will tell us.
Yeah, thank you, Mislav. And if I may add, as a conclusion, if there is not any further questions, the document, which in a way going to be starting point, encompassing all, I would say, data information that we had in presentation and analysis that were made, inputs that came directly from the pillar representatives, and feedback that we got from our experts, which are going to be working with us in the coming days and weeks in order to prepare this follow-up report that in a way going to be a takeaway from today's discussion in a written form in order to disclose everybody the pathway that we are choosing. And of course, it's going to be participatory approach in which everybody who is engaged going to be able to give their comments, remarks, suggestions, and definitely the ones that are going to be efficient, going to be taken on board for everybody's sake. So if there is anything to add, I would like to thank you all for your active participation and for being us today as a session that precedes the closing of the forum. I would like once again take our experts, pillar members, and ask you for a round of applause for everybody. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening. It's very nice to see that you are still very interested in